There comes a moment in every life when a question quietly appears. What will remain when I am gone? Not the money, not the titles, not even the applause, but something far more powerful, the impact of a life well lived. Because whether we realize it or not, every decision we make is writing a story that others will one day read. And that story is called our legacy. Legacy begins with purpose. It begins in the quiet moment when a person pauses and asks a question that most people avoid. Why was I placed here? What is the meaning of this life that I have been given? Every human being walks the earth for a limited number of days, yet very few ever stop to consider what those days are truly meant for. Many simply follow routines, chasing comfort, approval, or temporary success. But a meaningful life begins the moment a person realizes that life is not merely something to pass through, it is something to stand for. Purpose is the invisible force that gives direction to existence. Without it, even the greatest opportunities feel empty. A person can accumulate wealth, recognition, and possessions, yet still feel a deep sense of restlessness inside. That feeling is not accidental. It is the soul reminding us that we were created for something greater than consumption and routine. Deep within every human heart is a longing to matter, to serve, to leave something behind that carries meaning beyond our own lifetime. Throughout history, the individuals whose lives changed the world were not necessarily the strongest or the richest. They were people who discovered a purpose that was bigger than themselves. And when a person discovers such a purpose, something powerful begins to happen. Their energy shifts, their priorities change. Their decisions begin to align with something deeper than personal comfort. Purpose transforms ordinary days into meaningful steps towards something eternal. Many spiritual traditions teach that life itself is a trust, a responsibility placed into human hands by the Creator. Every talent, every opportunity, every breath carries a silent question. What will you do with what you have been given? This idea carries enormous emotional weight because it reminds us that our time is not random, it is sacred. The moments we live are not accidents, they are opportunities to reflect the values we claim to believe in. When a person begins to live with this awareness, their actions take on new significance. Work is no longer just about earning. Kindness is no longer just politeness. Effort is no longer just survival. Each action becomes a reflection of purpose, a quiet declaration of what that life stands for. Purpose also gives strength during hardship. Without purpose, obstacles feel like reasons to quit. But when a person knows why they are moving forward, difficulties become part of the journey rather than the end of it. Faith plays a powerful role here. Believing that life has meaning beyond immediate results allows a person to keep walking even when the road becomes difficult. There is a profound emotional trigger in realizing that our choices today may echo far beyond what we can see. A small act of integrity might influence someone who later changes countless lives. A word of encouragement might reach someone at the exact moment they were losing hope. A moment of courage might inspire a chain of events that continues long after we are gone. When people live without purpose, they often measure life by temporary achievements. But when a person discovers purpose, they begin to measure life by impact. The question slowly changes from and what can I gain? And to, and what kind of person am I becoming? And this shift awakens a deeper awareness of responsibility. Every conversation, every decision, every opportunity becomes a chance to align with values that reflect faith, compassion, and sincerity. It reminds us that the true weight of a life is not measured by status, but by sincerity of intention and the good that flows from it. Religious teachings across cultures emphasize that intention holds immense power. A simple action performed with sincere intention can carry tremendous spiritual value. Helping someone, offering guidance, being patient in difficulty, choosing honesty when dishonesty would be easier, these acts quietly shape the legacy of a life. Purpose, therefore, begins with an internal decision. It is the moment a person decides that their life will not be guided solely by convenience or distraction. It is the moment they choose to live in alignment with principles that reflect something higher than themselves. This decision does not require fame, wealth, or extraordinary circumstances. It requires awareness, sincerity, and the courage to live according to what one believes is right. For many people, the search for purpose begins during moments of reflection. Sometimes it appears during hardship, when life strips away illusions and forces deeper questions. Sometimes it appears through faith, when a person recognizes that their existence is part of a greater design. Sometimes it appears through service, when helping others reveals a sense of fulfillment that nothing else can provide. These moments awaken the heart. They remind us that life is more than survival. It is a chance to become a source of goodness in the world. And once a person begins to live with purpose, their actions start forming the foundation of something far greater than a single lifetime. Every decision becomes a thread in the fabric of a legacy that reflects not only what they achieved, but what they believed, what they valued, and what they were willing to give for the benefit of others. Contribution outlasts possessions. This is one of the most profound truths about human life, yet it is often overlooked in a world that constantly encourages accumulation. From a young age, many people are taught to measure success by what they own: houses, money, titles, status. These things appear powerful and permanent, but time quietly reveals a different reality. Possessions change hands, wealth shifts, and titles eventually lose their relevance. What once seemed so important slowly fades into the background of history. But there is something that does not fade so easily. The value you create in the lives of others has a life of its own. It travels beyond your presence. It continues through the people you influence, the kindness you show, the opportunities you create, and the guidance you offer. While possessions remain in one place, contribution moves through generations. Many spiritual teachings remind us that material wealth is temporary, a trust placed in human hands for a short period of time. It can provide comfort and security, but it was never meant to be the ultimate measure of a meaningful life. What truly matters is how those resources are used, whether they remain locked away for personal comfort or whether they become tools that benefit others. History quietly teaches this lesson again and again. Think about the individuals whose names continue to inspire people long after their time on Earth ended. They are remembered not because of what they owned, but because of what they gave. Their ideas shaped minds. Their generosity uplifted communities. Their courage opened doors for others. Their contribution became their legacy. There is a powerful emotional realization that comes when a person understands this truth. Imagine standing at the end of life and looking back. The expensive items once considered valuable no longer hold the same meaning. The trophies, the luxury, the applause, all of it becomes distant memories. But the faces of people you helped, the lives you touched, the good you placed into the world, those memories remain vivid and alive. Religious wisdom often speaks about the idea that good deeds continue to bring reward even after a person has left this world. Acts of charity, knowledge shared with sincerity, kindness that inspires others to do good, these contributions continue to grow like seeds planted in fertile soil. Long after the person is gone, the benefits of those actions continue to spread. This thought carries deep emotional weight. It means that every small act of goodness has the potential to travel far beyond what we can see. A simple act of generosity might relieve someone and a past hardship and restore their hope. That person, strengthened by compassion, might later help someone else. The cycle continues, creating ripples of goodness that extend far beyond the original moment. Contribution works like this, it multiplies. Possessions, on the other hand, rarely carry such power. A possession may serve one person for a time, but its influence usually ends there. It does not transform hearts. It does not inspire courage. It does not awaken purpose in another human being. Contribution does. There is also a deeper emotional trigger hidden within this truth. Every human being longs to feel that their life mattered. No one wants their existence to pass unnoticed, like a footprint washed away by the tide. Deep inside, people desire to know that their presence made the world slightly better. Contribution fulfills that desire. When a person gives their time to guide someone who is struggling, they create a moment that may shape that person and a past's entire future. When someone chooses honesty, integrity, and compassion in their actions, they quietly influence the standards of everyone around them. When someone uses their skills to serve a greater purpose, their work becomes more than labor, it becomes impact. Faith also deepens this understanding. Many religious teachings emphasize that wealth itself is not the problem arises when wealth becomes the ultimate goal rather than a tool for doing good. When resources are used to support families, uplift communities, educate minds, and relieve suffering, they transform from possessions into contributions. And contributions have a way of living far longer than their creators. Think about a teacher who dedicates years to nurturing young minds. The lessons they share continue through every student who carries that knowledge forward. Think about a parent who teaches values of honesty and compassion. Those values may travel through generations of families. Think about someone who shares wisdom, encouragement, or faith with another person during a difficult moment. That guidance may change the direction of an entire life. These acts do not appear grand in the moment, but time reveals their true power. Contribution leaves marks on hearts, and hearts carry memories longer than any physical object ever could. A person may own many things, but those things rarely remember them. People, however, do remember kindness. They remember who believed in them when they were uncertain. They remember who offered help when life felt heavy. They remember who chose compassion instead of indifference. And those memories become living pieces of someone and a past legacy. This realization gently shifts the way a person sees success. Instead of asking how much they can accumulate, they begin to ask how much good they can create. Instead of measuring life by possessions, they begin to measure it by impact. Their attention slowly moves from temporary comfort to meaningful influence. Because deep down, every soul recognizes a quiet truth. The things we own will one day belong to someone else. But the good we place in the lives of others becomes a light that continues to shine long after we are gone. Daily actions shape your legacy, not the rare moments of glory, not the occasional bursts of motivation, but the quiet decisions repeated day after day. A legacy is not built in a single dramatic moment. It is built in the ordinary hours of ordinary days when no one is watching and there is no applause waiting at the end. Most people imagine legacy as something distant, something connected to major achievements or historic accomplishments. But the truth is far more personal and far more powerful. Legacy begins in the smallest choices, the words we speak, the effort we give to our responsibilities, the patience we show in difficult situations, and the integrity we maintain when shortcuts are available. Every day presents dozens of opportunities to either strengthen or weaken the character we are building. Over time, these choices begin to form patterns, and those patterns slowly shape the story of our lives. A single good act is admirable, but a life consistently guided by goodness becomes unforgettable. This is why consistency carries so much power. Anyone can do something impressive once. Anyone can appear disciplined for a short period of time. But the individuals who truly leave a mark on the world are those who quietly practice the same principles day after day, even when the effort feels unnoticed. Faith traditions often emphasize the beauty of small, sincere deeds performed regularly. There is deep wisdom in the idea that the Creator values consistency of intention and action. A small act of kindness repeated every day can carry more spiritual weight than a grand gesture done only once for recognition. This understanding changes how a person views daily life. Suddenly, the ordinary moments no longer feel insignificant. Waking up with gratitude, treating people with respect, fulfilling responsibilities honestly, speaking truthfully, offering help where it is needed, these actions may seem small in isolation, but together they become the foundation of a meaningful life. There is an emotional realization hidden in this truth. Every morning that arrives is another page in the story of your legacy. Whether a person realizes it or not, the story is being written continuously. The tone of that story is determined not by occasional inspiration, but by daily discipline. Imagine two people standing at the beginning of a year. One person waits for the perfect moment to do something extraordinary, while the other simply commits to doing the right thing each day, working diligently, learning continuously, helping others when possible, strengthening their faith, and improving themselves little by little. At the end of that year, the difference between the two lives will be remarkable. The power was never in dramatic change, it was in daily consistency. Religious wisdom often teaches that the heart is shaped by repeated actions. When kindness becomes a daily habit, compassion becomes part of one and a past nature. When honesty becomes a daily standard, integrity becomes part of one and a POS identity. When gratitude becomes a daily practice, the soul begins to see blessings everywhere. In the same way, neglecting these daily actions slowly shapes a different kind of legacy. A careless word repeated often can damage relationships. Small acts of dishonesty repeated over time can erode trust. Indifference shown regularly can leave invisible wounds in the lives of others. Because the truth is simple and powerful, habits eventually become character, and character eventually becomes reputation. People may forget the exact words you spoke or the specific achievements you earned, but they rarely forget how you consistently treated them. The individual who greets others with sincerity, who fulfills promises, who remains patient under pressure, and who shows compassion even when it is inconvenient, this person quietly builds a reputation that spreads far beyond their own awareness. Daily actions also reveal the sincerity of a person and a POS faith. Belief is not only expressed in words or rituals, it is reflected in how a person lives from morning until night. Choosing honesty when dishonesty might bring quick gain, choosing forgiveness instead of resentment, choosing humility instead of pride, these daily decisions reflect a heart that understands the deeper purpose of life. Over time, these actions begin to echo through families, workplaces, and communities. Children learn from the habits they observe. Friends are influenced by the standards they witness. Even strangers can be affected by a moment of unexpected kindness. What appears small today may become significant tomorrow. There is also a deeply emotional aspect to this principle. One day, every person will pause and look back at the years they have lived. In that moment, the memories that rise to the surface will not be the possessions collected or the temporary pleasures enjoyed. Instead, they will be the moments when character was tested, when compassion was offered, when faith guided a difficult choice. Those moments are rarely dramatic. They are woven quietly into everyday life. This is why every day matters. Every decision carries weight, even when it seems minor. The words spoken to a loved one, the honesty shown in business, the patience practiced during frustration, the gratitude expressed for small blessings, all of these actions become threads in the fabric of a life. And over time, those threads form the pattern by which a person is remembered. Character is the foundation of legacy. Long before a person achieves success, gains recognition, or leaves a mark on the world, something deeper is quietly shaping the direction of their life. That invisible force is character. It is the inner structure that determines how a person thinks, how they treat others, and how they respond when life tests their values. Many people spend years focusing on external achievements, building careers, accumulating wealth, or gaining influence. While these things can certainly create opportunities, they do not define the true value of a life. History repeatedly shows that success without character eventually collapses, while character without immediate success often rises with time. Integrity, honesty, and responsibility form the pillars of this foundation. Integrity is the quiet strength that guides a person to do what is right, even when there is no reward waiting and no audience watching. It is the ability to remain true to one and a POS principles regardless of circumstances. A person with integrity does not adjust their values according to convenience. Their standards remain steady, whether they are standing in front of a crowd or walking alone. There is something deeply powerful about a person whose words and actions align. In a world where promises are often broken and trust is frequently misplaced, integrity becomes a rare and valuable quality. People naturally feel drawn toward individuals who demonstrate consistency between what they say and what they do. Honesty is closely connected to this principle. Truthfulness may appear simple, yet it requires courage. There are many moments in life when dishonesty seems easier. A lie may protect reputation, avoid responsibility, or create short-term advantage. But dishonesty always carries a hidden cost. Each small compromise weakens the trust others place in us and slowly erodes the respect that forms the foundation of meaningful relationships. Honesty, on the other hand, strengthens both the individual and the community around them. When a person chooses truth, even when it is uncomfortable, they build a reputation that becomes stronger than any title or position. People begin to rely on their words because they know those words carry sincerity. faith traditions throughout the world place enormous emphasis on honesty and integrity because they recognize how deeply these qualities shape human life. Religious teachings often remind believers that true character is revealed in moments when personal benefit conflicts with moral responsibility. It is easy to act correctly when the outcome is convenient, but true character appears when doing the right thing requires sacrifice. Responsibility forms the third pillar of character. It reflects a willingness to accept the duties and consequences that come with our choices. A responsible person does not shift blame onto others when mistakes occur. Instead, they acknowledge their role, learn from the experience, and work to correct what went wrong. This attitude requires humility, a quality that strengthens character even further. Humility allows a person to recognize that growth is always possible. It opens the heart to learning, reflection, and improvement. When humility and responsibility work together, a person becomes stronger with every challenge they face. There is also a profound emotional trigger connected to character. Imagine how people feel when they encounter someone they truly trust. A sense of security appears. Conversations become more open. Relationships grow deeper. Trust creates an invisible bond that strengthens communities, families, and friendships. Now imagine the opposite. When character is absent, suspicion replaces trust. Promises lose meaning. Relationships become fragile. Even great achievements lose their shine when people question the integrity behind them. Because deep within every human heart is the desire to respect and admire those who stand firmly for what is right. Religious teachings frequently remind believers that God is aware of what happens both publicly and privately. This awareness inspires many people to maintain their principles even when no one else is watching. The understanding that every action carries moral weight encourages individuals to guard their character carefully. When a person lives with this awareness, their decisions begin to reflect a deeper level of sincerity. They do not simply act well for reputation or praise. They act with honesty because they believe integrity itself is valuable. Their sense of responsibility becomes connected not only to society, but also to their faith and moral conscience. Over time, this consistency builds something incredibly powerful, trust that cannot easily be broken. People may forget many details of a person and a post's life, but they rarely forget how trustworthy that person was. A reputation built on character becomes a kind of protection. Even during difficult times, people are willing to stand beside someone whose integrity they have witnessed for years. Character also influences future generations. Children observe how adults behave long before they understand the reasons behind those behaviors. When they see honesty practiced consistently, they learn that truth matters. When they witness responsibility being taken seriously, they understand the importance of accountability. When they see integrity maintained even during hardship, they learn that principles are worth protecting. In this way, character quietly travels through generations. There is a quiet beauty in realizing that the strongest legacy is not built through fame or wealth, but through the consistent practice of values that strengthen the lives of others. A person with strong character becomes a source of stability in uncertain times, a guide for those seeking direction, and an example for those who are still learning how to live with purpose. And as the years pass, achievements may fade and possessions may change hands, but the reputation built on integrity, honesty, and responsibility remains firmly rooted in the memories and hearts of those who experienced it. Impact multiplies through people. One of the most remarkable truths about human life is that no action exists in isolation. Every word we speak, every example we set, and every act of kindness we offer has the potential to travel far beyond the moment in which it occurs. Human beings are deeply connected to one another, and because of this connection, influence has a powerful way of expanding across time and generations. Many people believe that influence belongs only to those with large audiences or powerful positions. They imagine that only leaders, celebrities, or historical figures have the ability to shape the lives of others. Yet in reality, influence begins in the simplest human interactions. A conversation, a gesture of support, a moment of patience during someone in a past struggle. These experiences can quietly alter the direction of another person and a past life. The beautiful truth is that when you positively influence one person, you rarely influence only that one person. The impact continues through the people they encounter, the decisions they make, and the lives they touch afterward. Like ripples spreading across the surface of water, a single act of goodness can move outward in ways that the original person may never fully see. This is how legacy grows beyond the limits of a single lifetime. Think about the teachers who encouraged their students when they doubted themselves. Many of those students eventually became mentors, innovators, leaders, and parents who passed forward the same encouragement they once received. The teacher may never witness the full result of their influence, yet their words continue to echo through countless lives. The same is true within families. A parent who teaches compassion, patience, and faith to their children is planting seeds that may grow for generations. Those children carry those values into their own homes, their communities, and their relationships. Over time, the original influence expands far beyond the walls of the family that first nurtured it. Faith traditions often emphasize this idea of multiplying goodness. Religious teachings frequently remind believers that guiding someone toward a good action carries rewards similar to performing the action itself. In other words, when you inspire goodness in another person, you become part of every good deed that grows from that inspiration. This understanding gives tremendous meaning to everyday interactions. A person may never build monuments or hold powerful titles, yet they may still leave a legacy that travels across generations simply by uplifting the people around them. A word of encouragement spoken at the right moment can revive someone and a pause hope. A piece of sincere advice can redirect someone who was about to take a destructive path. A demonstration of patience can teach someone how to respond with calmness rather than anger. These moments often appear small, yet their influence can be profound. There is also a powerful emotional element hidden within this truth. Every human being carries unseen struggles. Behind many smiles are silent battles, fears, and doubts. When someone receives genuine kindness or guidance during one of these moments, it can feel like a light appearing in darkness. That light has the power to transform the way they see themselves and the world around them. When a person feels supported, valued, or inspired, they often begin to extend the same kindness toward others. The kindness multiplies, traveling from one heart to another. Over time, what began as a single compassionate action becomes a chain of goodness moving through many lives. This is why influence carries such responsibility. Every action we take sends a message to the people around us. Our behavior quietly teaches others what is acceptable, what is admirable, and what is worth pursuing. When we choose honesty, we show others that truth matters. When we choose patience, we demonstrate that anger is not the only response to difficulty. When we show generosity, we remind others that helping one another strengthens communities. These examples shape attitudes and behaviors in ways that are often invisible at first, but powerful over time. Religious teachings often remind believers that every person is capable of becoming a source of guidance for others. Sometimes this guidance comes through words, but often it comes through example. A life lived with sincerity, humility, and faith naturally influences those who observe it. Children learn by watching. Friends learn by observing how someone handles success and hardship. Colleagues learn by witnessing how someone treats others when authority or pressure is involved. Even strangers can be influenced by brief moments of unexpected kindness or fairness. And once these influences take root in someone in a pause heart, they begin influencing others in turn. There is something deeply moving about realizing that our lives are connected through invisible threads of influence. The good we do today may continue spreading long after we are gone. Someone we help today might one day help hundreds of others. A lesson we share today might guide someone who later changes the lives of many people. We may never see the full chain of events that grows from our actions, yet the chain continues nonetheless. This realization brings both humility and hope. Humility, because it reminds us that even the smallest actions carry weight. Hope, because it reveals that every person has the ability to create positive change in the world around them. When we live with this awareness, our attention naturally shifts from self-centered goals toward meaningful impact. Instead of focusing only on personal success, we begin to ask how our actions affect the people around us. We become more thoughtful with our words, more patient in our responses, and more intentional in the examples we set. Because the influence we create today may become the inspiration someone else carries tomorrow. And through those people, the impact continues expanding far beyond the limits of our own lifetime. Think beyond the present. One of the defining qualities of individuals who leave a meaningful legacy is their ability to look further than immediate comfort or short-term rewards. While many people focus only on what benefits them today, legacy builders quietly ask a deeper question. What will this decision create tomorrow, and what will it mean years from now? The present moment is powerful, but it is also temporary. Every choice made today eventually becomes part of the future someone else will live in. The words we speak, the standards we follow, the values we defend, and the responsibilities we accept do not simply disappear when the moment ends. They shape relationships, influence people, and slowly build outcomes that may continue long after we are gone. Many people struggle because they measure life only by immediate results. They seek quick success, instant recognition, and fast rewards. Yet the most meaningful achievements in human history were rarely built that way. Great institutions, strong families, lasting ideas, and moral examples were all formed by people who were willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term purpose. Thinking beyond the present requires patience and vision. It asks a person to pause before acting and consider the wider consequences of their behavior. A decision that feels convenient today may create regret tomorrow. A moment of discipline today may create opportunity years later. When people begin to see life through this wider perspective, their actions naturally become more thoughtful and intentional. Faith traditions often emphasize this long-term perspective by reminding believers that life itself is part of a greater journey. Religious teachings frequently encourage individuals to consider not only the temporary outcomes of their actions, but also the moral and spiritual consequences that extend beyond this world. This awareness encourages people to live with sincerity and responsibility, knowing that their actions carry weight far beyond immediate circumstances. When someone lives with this mindset, everyday choices begin to change. They become more careful with their words, understanding that a sentence spoken in anger can leave wounds that last for years. They become more committed to honesty, knowing that trust once broken can take a lifetime to rebuild. They become more patient with progress, understanding that meaningful growth often requires time and persistence. There is a powerful emotional realization hidden in this principle. Imagine planting a tree. In the early days, the effort seems small and the results almost invisible. The tree grows slowly, sometimes so gradually that its progress is difficult to notice. But years later, that same tree provides shade, fruit, and shelter for many people. The person who planted it may never fully enjoy its benefits, yet their decision continues to serve others. Legacy works in a similar way. The values we teach, the kindness we practice, the wisdom we share, and the standards we uphold often grow quietly over time. Their influence may not be visible immediately, but they slowly shape the environment in which future generations will live. Parents who teach honesty and compassion to their children may never witness the full reach of those lessons, yet those values may travel through generations of families. Mentors who guide young minds may never see all the lives influenced by the people they helped shape. Individuals who stand firmly for justice and integrity may inspire others to continue those principles long after their own time has passed. Thinking beyond the present also strengthens moral courage. When people focus only on immediate gain, they often compromise their principles for convenience. But when someone understands that their choices contribute to a long-term legacy, they become less willing to sacrifice their values for temporary advantage. They recognize that reputation, trust, and character are built slowly but can be damaged quickly. Protecting those qualities becomes more important than chasing short-term rewards. Religious teachings often reinforce this awareness by reminding believers that actions are recorded not only in memory, but also in moral accountability. The idea that every deed carries significance encourages people to live carefully and intentionally. Acts of kindness, fairness, and generosity become investments that extend beyond the present moment. This awareness also awakens a sense of responsibility toward future generations. The world we create today becomes the environment our children and their children will inherit. The standards we tolerate today become the norms of tomorrow. The values we demonstrate today become the examples others follow. When someone truly understands this, their perspective begins to expand. They realize that their life is part of a much larger story. Their decisions are not isolated events, but pieces of a larger chain connecting past, present, and future. There is also a quiet beauty in living with this kind of awareness. It removes the pressure of chasing instant success and replaces it with the deeper satisfaction of building something meaningful. Progress may appear slower, but its results are far more stable and enduring. Instead of asking, "And what benefits me right now?" And a legacy-minded person begins asking questions like, "And what kind of example am I setting today? And what habits am I building that will shape my future? And what influence will my choices leave behind for others? And these questions transform everyday life into something more purposeful. Work becomes more than earning income, it becomes a chance to build something valuable. Relationships become more than convenience, they become opportunities to nurture trust and compassion. Even challenges become meaningful because they provide opportunities to demonstrate patience, resilience, and faith. Over time, this perspective changes how a person experiences life itself. The present moment no longer feels isolated. It becomes part of a continuous journey in which every decision contributes to something larger than immediate results. And through this awareness, each thoughtful choice becomes a seed planted for a future that may continue growing long after the one who planted it is no longer here. Legacy is a choice. It is not something reserved for the wealthy, the famous, or those who hold positions of great power. Many people believe that legacy belongs only to individuals whose names appear in history books or whose achievements are celebrated by the world. But the truth is far more profound and far more personal. Legacy is not determined by status, wealth, or influence. It is determined by the choices a person makes throughout their life. Every human being has been given time, abilities, and opportunities in different forms. Some people are given resources, others are given wisdom, others are given compassion, patience, or strength. No life is completely empty of potential. What matters is not how much someone has been given, but how they choose to use what they have. A meaningful legacy begins the moment a person decides that their life will stand for something greater than temporary comfort. It begins when someone chooses to live with intention rather than drifting through life without direction. This decision does not require wealth, popularity, or extraordinary circumstances. It requires awareness and sincerity. Some of the most powerful legacies in history were created by individuals who lived simple lives. Their influence did not come from possessions or fame, but from the character they demonstrated and the goodness they shared with others. A teacher who shapes the minds of students, a parent who raises children with strong values, a friend who offers guidance during difficult moments. These people often leave legacies far greater than they realize. There is a deeply emotional truth hidden in this idea. Many people quietly worry that their lives will not matter, that they will pass through the world without leaving any meaningful mark behind. But this fear fades when we understand that legacy is not measured by size or visibility. It is measured by sincerity and impact. A single life filled with compassion can transform the lives of many others. A person who consistently practices kindness may never see the full effect of their actions, yet those actions can inspire others to continue the same pattern of goodness. In this way, even the smallest acts can create waves that move through generations. Faith traditions often reinforce this understanding by reminding believers that the value of a life is not measured by worldly recognition, but by sincerity of intention and the goodness of one and a pulse actions. Many religious teachings emphasize that a person may perform a simple act with a pure heart and receive immense spiritual reward. Feeding someone who is hungry, offering comfort to someone who is suffering, sharing knowledge that benefits others. These acts may appear small in the eyes of the world, yet they carry tremendous weight in the eyes of God. This perspective changes the way people see their daily lives. Ordinary moments begin to feel meaningful because they hold opportunities to create goodness. A person does not need a stage or a title to influence the world around them. They simply need the willingness to choose compassion, honesty, patience, and service whenever the opportunity appears. Legacy also grows through responsibility. When someone chooses to live with integrity, They create trust among the people around them. When they take their duties seriously, whether in family, work, or community, they become a source of reliability and stability for others. Over time, people remember not only what that person achieved, but how they made others feel, respected, supported, valued. There is also a powerful sense of hope in realizing that legacy is a choice. No matter where someone begins in life, the future remains open. A person may have faced mistakes, hardships, or limitations, but each new day offers another opportunity to choose a better path. One sincere decision can begin a chain of actions that slowly transforms a life. Choosing legacy often requires courage. It may mean choosing honesty when dishonesty seems easier. It may mean helping someone even when no recognition follows. It may mean standing by moral principles even when others take shortcuts for quick success. These decisions may appear difficult in the moment, yet they strengthen the character that forms the foundation of lasting influence. Religious teachings often remind people that the world is a temporary place of responsibility and testing. The choices we make here reflect the values we truly believe in. When a person chooses kindness over cruelty, generosity over selfishness, and humility over arrogance, they are not only shaping their reputation in this world, but also building something meaningful for the life that comes after. This awareness brings deep emotional meaning to everyday decisions. Suddenly, even small acts carry significance. Greeting someone warmly, forgiving someone who made a mistake, guiding someone who feels lost, these actions become opportunities to create goodness that may continue spreading long after the moment has passed. Legacy, therefore, belongs to everyone. It is not limited by wealth, education, or social position. It is built through the consistent practice of values that uplift the lives of others. Every person has the ability to influence their family, their friends, their community, and even strangers they may never meet again. And each of those moments presents a quiet but powerful choice to live in a way that leaves behind nothing, or to live in a way that plants seeds of goodness that may continue growing long after the one who planted them is gone. One day, every life reaches a quiet conclusion. The titles will disappear. The possessions will pass on. The noise of the world will move forward, but something will remain. The ideas you shared, the people you lifted, the courage you demonstrated. That is your legacy. So live in such a way that when your story is told, it does not simply say you existed, it says you made a difference.